As far as immediate goals are concerned, I am really striving for $10,000 profit a month. I'm calling it now. May is the month that it happens. The lie detector came back. That was a lie. So although I didn't hit $10,000 profit for the month of May, it was still a monumental month for me. For one, it marked the 2-year anniversary of me selling on Amazon and in turn, literally changing the trajectory of my professional career. And for two, it was the best total sales month I've ever had. After we go over the profit and loss, what I want to do is share with you how much time and effort I put into my business, how I source, how do I divide up online arbitrage versus retail arbitrage, and then I'm also going to share with you the 5 biggest lessons that I learned in the month of May. As I continue to do this more and more and more, I am constantly learning, and I've really gone heavy into OA. So a lot of these new lessons are like brand new to me as well, and I look forward to sharing those with you. Alrighty, so Inventory Lab open in front of me. We got the profit and loss statement for May of 2022. If you look up here to the upper right hand corner, total sales for the month, my highest number ever, $44,822.25. I want to mention before we go even further, I remember being a newbie, a number like that was unfathomable to me, and now I totally get it. And the sky is basically the limit. Like, I think I can eventually do 6 figures in a month with time and with a lot of scaling. But I just want you to know that I remember what it's like to be a beginner only 2 years ago. And trust me when I say it doesn't happen overnight, but you start to get these light bulb moments and you can at least see it, right? So then there's refunds, reimbursements, shipping credits, stuff like that I won't bore you with. Basically, the next important line item is cost of goods sold. Little over $23,000, $23,488.53. By the way, just to be clear, cost of goods sold, that's how much I spent on inventory that sold, right? Cost of goods sold. So if I spent $50,000 in the month of May on inventory, that's not reflected here. The only number as far as cost of goods sold, it's how much I spent on inventory that sold. I know that might be redundant, but I just want everyone to be crystal clear on that. Then we're gonna get hit with selling fees and Amazon transaction fees. In a nutshell, let's call them Amazon fees. And typically it comes out to about 1/3 almost every single time. 30%, 33%. If you need a round number, err on the side of caution and just assume they're gonna take 1/3, which they did. And then basically as we scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're gonna see in the bottom left-hand corner, total net profit, $7,946.67. By the way, I hope it comes across this way and is crystal clear. Whenever I'm sharing numbers, it's always from a good place. Never to brag, never to flex. People run laps around me, no doubt about that, all right? I share it so that you know what's possible, what it takes to get there, how much profit people actually make on the sales that they show you, and to give a little bit of credibility to show that I kind of know what I'm doing after 2 years now. No other reason than all of the above. So now that we've gone over the numbers, I want to come back to what I mentioned previously. I'm going to share with you what type of sourcing I do, how many hours I put into a day, and then we're going to go over the 5 biggest lessons that came to my mind that I want to share with you that I learned in the month of May. So first up, you should know I do about 80% online arbitrage and about 20% retail arbitrage. That's been my split for the last 2 to 3 months, I would say. I used to be heavy in RA. Those numbers were reversed. But what happened was a couple things. It was becoming apparent to me that there's a ceiling on how much time and effort and spending you can do doing retail arbitrage. The return on investment is great, but you're limited to stores hours and a geography. And I'm in a kitchen now in Asheville, North Carolina because my desk and office isn't set up yet. But I share that to say I just moved from South Florida where there was a tremendous amount of congestion in terms of stores to do RA. Not the case here. And also I want to get to a point one day that I use a prep center and I don't actually touch the product. So in theory, I could do it from anywhere in the world. I'm not dependent on a geography, but really most importantly, it comes down to scalability. I don't care if my profit margin and return on investment goes down because I don't have a super small budget. So as long as I can find the profitable items online, I want to keep going. And ultimately the way to scale, in my humble opinion, and most large Amazon sellers, is through the power of the internet. As far as how much time I put into the business, I will say this. I don't know exactly, and it always fluctuates, but I like to do my hardest part of the day first thing in the morning. I'm a morning person. I'm not saying you should be or it works for everyone, but I like getting up at 6, drinking some water, drinking coffee, and putting in my hardest, deepest work first thing in the morning, doing my online arbitrage sourcing. And then from there, knowing that I have the hardest part of my day done by breakfast is like really empowering. And I also do my best work first thing in the morning. So I'm not saying you should, but that's what I do. I probably dedicate an hour at night to packing so it doesn't accumulate. That's always gonna fluctuate. And then maybe every couple of weeks I spend a full day doing retail arbitrage when certain grocery chains have buy one, get one frees that I do really well at. Throw in some repricing, accounting, some other hodgepodge items. You know, we're talking probably 6 to 8 hours a day on average. Some days you're running hot, some days cold. It's an average thing. It's one of the beauties of it. But something that I personally think is really powerful, everybody can dedicate a certain amount of time to source. Like I said, I like doing 4 hours in the morning, whether things are going great or not. I can show up and do that every single day at any level, right? And good things are gonna happen. So rather than worrying about having to make X amount or spend X amount, which by the way, nothing is wrong with that at all. This is more advice to a beginner. Just dedicate, I am going to show up X amount of hours every day. I promise you, good things will happen, whether it's Amazon or any other component of your life. So let's get into the lessons now. First up, something that I've experienced going into online arbitrage, I am sending in way more products. I am selling way more items in my catalog than I ever have before. And now I realize that I'm willing to sell products not at the maximum profit margin or ROI, I should say, that I used to. I used to have much higher standards and I'd wait things out. But now that I have so much capital tied up in inventory, I would rather not wait as long, make a little bit less profit, get my money back, and find new and more profitable items. So the lesson being, once you start scaling more, just know, I think most people are gonna be like me, and you're willing to take a lesser ROI than you would on items when you start to have many more in your catalog. Hence why profit margin always decreases the more and more and more that you scale, for other reasons too. Number 2 is something that I think is very important, okay? It is so easy once you start to scale to always be looking for the new shiny toy, the new items. And yes, that's a great way to scale, and replenishables do die off, but you've already put in the legwork and the hours and the test buys for a lot of products. You send them in, and if you're sending in thousands of items or hundreds of items, it's easy to forget about those. Keep track of those, a simple Excel sheet, and don't forget to come back to those. You've already done the legwork. They're the low-hanging fruits. Number 3, I kind of alluded to this already earlier when I was talking about showing up 4 hours a day for sourcing no matter how it's going. The bottom line is consistency over intensity. It's really easy to stay sourcing when you're having a home run day and you can't miss, or you're doing retail arbitrage and there's killer deals going on. But continuing to show up, I always like to say, hit your singles, step up to bat and hit your singles, and the home runs will come. But neither will happen if you don't step up to the plate. Keep showing up consistently, not just when you have that burst of energy or things are going well, and you will be thankful you did in the long run. Number 4, online arbitrage sourcing has a huge compound interest effect. And what I mean by that, let's say you spend 2 hours sourcing online and you're discouraged because you only found 2 items, and each of them is only gonna make you $50 a month, okay? So you spent 2 hours to make $100 a month, let's say. But let's say these 2 items last you an entire year, you're able to replenish them. That means it made you $1,200. So 2 hours for $1,200. Now think about this. You do 2 items one day, another 2 items the next day, another 2 items, and look how quickly that snowball builds. I know sometimes when I'm sourcing online, I'm like, it's taking me hours to find a few products. But if you find good ones, and again, the home runs will come, right? Even if you just keep getting the singles, it adds up, because once you find one of them, a lot of replenishable items you can sell for 6 months to a year, and that makes your hourly rate of what you put into them so much higher than what you initially think or what you might feel as discouragement. And number 5, Momentum is real. I've never felt more strongly about this in my life. I'm 34 years old. If you're having a rough go at it one day, give yourself a chip shot, meaning go through your list of your catalog. Maybe you need a replenish an item and buy 2 of them just to get the ball rolling. When things are going good, it's easy to keep them going good. And when things are going bad, it's easy to keep them going bad. Break that cycle when you need to. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some chip shots and keep at it, okay? Momentum is real, and once you can turn that corner if things aren't going your way, you start to build that snowball effect, and then you're just off to the races. We've all been there. We all feel it, no doubt about it. Think about like when you're eating super healthy, it's so much easier to stay on that path. And when you're eating crappy, it's so much easier to stay on that path. So if you notice that, don't get discouraged, give yourself a break, and give yourself some easy options to get the ball rolling. So that wraps it up, guys. I'm Jonathan. Duke does Amazon. We're on Instagram as well. And the biggest piece of advice I can give after 2 years, take action. Be willing to be a beginner, make mistakes, fail forward. There are so many resources and tools out there to help you. There's millions of Amazon sellers. Nobody is so much smarter or better than you. They took action, they sped up their mistakes, and now they're on their way, like myself, as living proof. Get out there and take action. If you have questions, comments, topics, put them below. I'll see you guys soon, and thanks for being here. Oh, this little boo-boo berry. There she is.